Hey guys, emergency video. So just to kind of go through what happened, I was just kind of doing a takeover. And it had a unique quirk that it was on Forerunner, and I thought nothing of it, right? A couple arena changes, which I'll show at the end of the video, so I don't have to make a dedicated video, but that's not what this is about. I was like, oh, cool, arena changes, whatever, it's Forerunner, there's farming out, blah, 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 blah. Who the hell cares, right? But then I went into the guild boss run. I'm using Lucius because I'm copying Sassy, one of my friends' runs. And they changed him randomly. I didn't hear about this. Did anyone hear about this? They changed and fixed Lucius. So now he is OP the way he was designed to be at the beginning. And it's ridiculous. So they changed him, and I have to make a video on it. So as you can see, I was going through the takeover. I'm at 105k blood. I was only asked to do 80k, but because of the change, I can go so much further. And they just changed him. So the way that Lucius used to work, I can't really show his skills because I'm in the middle of a freaking run. Because I don't want to reset. It's been half an hour of a run. But like, they changed him. So the way he used to work before is what you'll notice in here, in this run. He's dead. He'll come up in a second. But you'll see in this run, the boss kind of attacks pretty often. Pretty normal behavior there, right? Does a certain amount of damage. And this attack scales, first of all, off of his Aegis stacks, which he is about to put on. And what he does is he puts the Aegis stack on. It buffs both his damage, as you can see here, like of that attack. It's not in the skills, but it does. And then it also reduces his physical damage and magic reduction by 10%, which you really, really, really do feel throughout the fight. Now, what it used to do is when he put them on, it would build up multiple. And then when you use Lucius, it would get rid of them all. But the next time you put any of them on, it put it down to what it was before. So imagine you're at 4 stacks. The boss puts out 4 stacks. And then you use Lucius ult to cleanse it, right? Then it gets rid of it until the next time it adds another shield. And when it adds another shield, it will go up to 5. So what it was before plus 1, right? Makes sense. It's a little weird. It's not at all how it read before Lucius was out, but that's just how it went, right? Now let me continue this because it's a takeover. But what you'll see now is you see how it will get 2 stacks here. First of all, they changed the UI. If I trigger Lucius ult, what it does is it strips it all like normal. And we're just going to play on until the normal thing. You know, we're going to take a bit less damage because the damage is not scaling. So it's doing like basically no damage to us because there are no shield stacks. And what it does is it only puts 1. It only puts 1. And they changed it. That's not how it used to work. It used to go up to like 5. Like on global now, I think it still does the same thing. If it does, I'll show it on the screen really quickly. But like, this is so exciting. This makes Guild Blast 2 manageable. That's the worst phase in the game. And it sucks every single freaking time. And I hate it. And it's terrible. And they changed it to be manageable. So if you have Lucius at all, and you can get its ult up, you know, lowers attack speed, raises rage regen, you'll win. Like, that's it. And I think this kind of goes towards something where I think they were considering bringing in something like Apocalypse 3, and maybe this is just to make it a bit easier. Like, look, 2 stacks, right? We're gonna cleanse it, and now the next AoE attack, this Earth Shatter, which scales off of the amount of shields, right now it would be 4 to 5, and we would be dying. It's gonna hit like a noodle. It's gonna hit like a noodle, and it's so manageable. Now the only hard part is either if you're messing up your Lucius timings, and he's getting his other form off all the time, so you can't ult and cleanse the shields, or it's this attack, which obviously still does a lot of damage because it doesn't scale off of the Aegis shields. But this one does, and it's crazy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like, Guild Blast 2 was so painful for so long because of this, and they're changing it. Like, this is probably the most excited I've ever been in a video, because after, like, maybe I've done, like, 50 Guild Blast 2 takeovers. Like, I've done, I think, the most Guild Blast 2 out of anyone in the game, or at least, like, it's comparable. And they changed the worst part. Like, obviously, the autos are still complete and utter ass. They still suck ass. But the fact that this update changed Lucius to be what it used to be, and it feels so good. I'm just like, I've never been happier in this game. Like, oh my god. This is a freaking miracle, man. Like, oh my god, oh my god. You have no idea. I'm so happy about this. So let me just finish the takeover. I'll talk about some of the arena changes, but I'm just gonna keep you guys here for a little while, okay? So this is just going to be a bit of a history lesson before I show you guys some more cool Forerunner stuff, that being the main one, which I had to make an emergency video on for obvious reasons because it's a big freaking deal, okay? Also, the emulator makes everything look like garbage, so if it looks a little bit off, it's the emulator. Because, you know, Forerunner can only be accessed on Android devices, and I obviously do not have an Android device on my computer for obvious reasons. But yeah, so 125k, kind of crazy. But the main thing is, like, you know, when Lucius came out, before he came out, I don't think people who talked about him really tested him that much to really figure out his interactions. So when they talked about him, it made it seem like he was better than he was. And that's not to fault any test server people or anything, right? Like, obviously, you're not supposed to double check everything that everyone says and make sure that everyone understands and isn't misled. But that is what ended up happening. Is people got a bit misled because the way it read and the way people talked about it kind of implied that Lucius would cleanse the debuffs forever, and they wouldn't just become like come back at what it used to be. That's just not how it worked, right? But that is how it ended up working, which really, really disappointed a lot of people. I know some people were calling for a reset book, which I think was a little silly, but I do understand the sentiment. I know people were calling for, like, you know, compensation, which they did give. They did give some gems or whatever, but like, it still kind of felt like BS. And I know a lot of people just kind of felt like it was a little scammy. You know, they felt kind of like it was BS, and that's okay, right? But it seems like they actually realize that this is how it should be, because Guild Boss 2 is so hard, and why make the hardest part of it even harder, right? Like, that's just how it is. Also, we're about to lose here, but, you know, 140k is crazy. We might even still be able to make it out. But, you know, like, they've kind of realized that, hey, this is what the community wants. If we're making this content the hardest content, we have to make it a bit more balanced. Because realistically, the second phase was the hardest, unless you were an Uber whale with A5 Praetus, who was able to get to 200k or so. Then the poison phase would be the one that gets you, which is fine. Obviously, the poison phase still has some issues, and I'm just spitballing here, you know, just ranting because I'm in a talkative mood. But, like, essentially, people kind of started to resent the game mode, I think, is a pretty common thing that I'm seeing around, and I completely understand it. You know, I kind of started to dislike Guild Boss 2 more and more as time went on, as you do when you do stuff too much and it feels a little bit annoying. You know, that's very, very normal, right? And I think this is just the way of saying, hey, we want to make this harder, but we're going to fix what it is already in the way that it should have been fixed a long time ago. And that's basically what it is. That's how I look at it, is they essentially said, hey, let's make Lucius work. Work as intended. And that's great. I love that they're able to, like, you know, figure these things out. Because right now, if it was, like, on global, I would get one shot already. That's how crazy this phase is. You know, we're at 140k, 150k. I would be dead by now. Like, just straight up. I would be dead by now. I know the account is crazy that I am on, but, like, I would be dead right now. Like, just straight up. That's just how it goes. You know, I would be dead. That's just really the only way to put it. But because Lucius works as intended, and this is how it is intended, we're able to go. And I just think that's great. So on global, make sure to keep your eye out on this. Now, we are about to die because, you know, Jira died and all that stuff, and we didn't get it. But that's great. Something else I forgot to mention, and I don't really have the energy to test right now, is this. So now we're actually going to be getting damnation stack indicators. It will only be when you're clicking on the hero, which is a little lame, but realistically, This is pretty cool. So we've been asking for this for a while, so they went above and beyond, added another thing on top of this, which is having him actually work, and they also made it so you can indicate that sort of thing. So this hopefully should be coming to global pretty soon. So the run is finished, and as you can see, number 3 on the leaderboard. And I just had to point out that this type of team would not work in global right now. Like, these teams are very unconventional, but they're getting very, very high scores. And I do suspect that that is partially Lucius's fault. Also, Lucius did like no damage. So maybe his damage got lowered. I don't know, nor do I care, because he now works as intended. He seems to also do enough damage still. This is a no lord Lucius doing 140 mil. I just don't have him built, nor is he in constant range. So just keep that in mind. Very, very, very exciting. Sorry if this video had like no direction. I just quickly made it. I'm very tired. It is currently 10 a.m. and I have not gone to sleep. But yeah, so before I end off, I do have to say there are arena changes. As you could see, there is now an Apex shop. This is what it looks like. We have the Eye of Penitence for about 4 months. So it seems like they will have a rotating exclusive that refreshes once every like while. I don't know if it'll be 4 months. This is still kind of forerunner stuff, so it is subject to change. Sanja is 40,000. That is a lot. And then 50,000 for a copy or a soulstone. And then you get ancient shards with 1,500, pretty good. And then legendary summons. I don't know how much this costs, but we'll see when it gets added. Now, some other things to mention are when you get to these placements or you finish, you get first of all a new border, or not a border, a new avatar, which I'm hoping I can get on my main, and then you get 1,500 coins or 400 respectively, or 200, and you also get some rare summons, which is pretty cool. So that is new. Now I will say that someone told me the seasons might be longer eventually, but currently they are not. And there seems to be another way to get coins, I assume by finishing fights, because this guy already had 1,200 by the time I got on here. So that's interesting. But yeah, so kind of new changes, really, really interesting. But the main thing is Lucius got changed, which is amazing. Maybe there's some other changes. Comment if you know any other changes, or if you think you can get 120k with these changes. But yeah, so just had to ramble a little bit there. Be really excited, because I am really, really excited. I'm going to be able to hit 120k, which is really hype. And it'll definitely be very, very, very exciting. But yeah, that's everything I have for you guys for today. I forgot to record an outro, so here it is. Tell me what you guys think about the changes. Should it have been in place at the beginning? Are you just happy that it's here? Let me know. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And Destined signing out.